Can we welcome them again, please? All right. And just so we know, we're going to have a segment where we invite our candidates to spend about 5 minutes introducing themselves to us. We would expect them to share their manifestos with us, basically give us more information about their work, what their vision is from AMAC, and I will invite Mr. Ladimiji to go ahead first. Your mic.
Good morning, everyone. Comrade Shadari Oladimiji Macaulay from the Socialist Party of Nigeria. I'm the chairmanship candidate of the party. I also presently serve as the National Organizing Secretary, maintaining the party secretariat for the last 1 year. The party has been registered by AMAC after 3.5 years of protracted legal and political battle against INEC for refusal to register the party. Well, we thank you very much for the Global Shepherds community for the opportunity given to us to be here again to share our ideas and manifesto with the AMAC communities, the media. I also welcome the media who are present and other people from any other civil society organization and other party faithfuls. Well, the reality today is that there are increasing inequality among Nigerians. Many of us can no longer sleep with our two eyes closed because of the level of insecurity, the increasing joblessness among the people, the terrible roads we have around us that are not death traps. And if we continue, if we say, because some of us have earnings and we can live fine, and continue to say, oh, we don't need to worry. Jesus, God Almighty, will answer their prayers. So one day, they will also become rich. We all one day end up in chaos. And what is happening in the Middle East is not far to our doorstep. But in reality, in the SPN, one of our major cardinal manifesto for this area council election is issue of affordable housing. Oftentimes, you have seen relatives, according to UN standard, your income, you must not pay more than 30% of your income on house. Once it's more than 30% of your annual income, then you will be living under a precarious condition. And we all know that with the situation of things in Nigeria, most especially in AMAC where we are living, house rent is a very, very German issue which we need to take consideration for. And that is why our party, a socialist party with the idea of collective ownership of the resources of society and should be managed collectively by the people. Aside what we have today, that nobody knows how much comes to AMAC, nobody now more spends on housing, nobody now more spends on road. We do not, political officers are living above a jumbo pay. So that is why our own party concentrates on efforts of issue of affordable housing for the people. That is number one. And number two, our own party, we end jumbo pay for all political officers. Myself as chairman and all other elected and appointed executive under the leadership from AMAC, we collect the salary of the skilled workers so that we can have enough resources to put into the Ministry of Works to build a formidable Ministry of Works where we can begin the issue of housing, build low-cost housing for people, and also introduce rent control. Then, terrible roads in major areas in AMAC, then we can begin to talk of how we can make many of our roads in the suburb more tolerable. Yes, if they want to display Abuja, nobody goes to Nyanya phase 1, phase 2, or Jikoyi phase 1, phase 2. When they want to display Abuja, they go to Maitama or any area in the town that will look shining in the media. Also, in our party, one of the things for our own contest is also to advance the struggle of the working people. Like I said, one of the things that political officers in Nigeria used to loot public money and make them apparently live above the working class. And after the election, many of us will not see them again, even when you work for them to get elected. It's because of the contract system. And that is why our party, in our manifesto, even submitted to INEC, and all candidates of the party, we canvass that contracts must not be given out under our own government. Contracts in the past have opened the gulf between the rich and the poor. Companies that ends the contract most time place people on a precarious condition and casualization. They do not give them good employment. They work under precarious conditions, and they stole money. The political officers, elected officers, stole money through inflating the prices of the contracts. We have had similar experience of this. And one of the other things is that we will, in our own party, we will place many empty houses on, we will make sure that they were charged. Sometimes in December, the present chairman was interviewed when the journalist in Abuja visited him, and he said the elites don't pay tax. What tax says is that they could not fight each other, but our own government will rely on the mass support of the working people to make sure that we tax the rich so as to fund the new programs to end poverty, hunger, and joblessness among the people. As a socialist, we are not just in Nigeria shouting for socialism. We are part of international, and we are calling for an international, a society where everything will be okay, a society where everything will work fine, a society that we can guarantee, have enough resources to guarantee free, functional, and quality education at primary level, primary health care. And one of the manifesto of the SPN, lastly, is that our own party, my wife, my children, my siblings, my cousin who lives in AMAC, we also attend the same public school. We also attend the same hospital with people, so that wherever there is lack of hospital, wherever there are lack of facilities out of this hospital, my family members will also know there is need for the leadership under our own control to do something. And no single kobo of the AMAC will be spent without consideration of the mass of the working people, without considering all groups that lives in AMAC, the trade union, the community leaders, and the chiefs. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, sir. All right, can I invite Honorable Augustine Abuakwe to share his manifesto?
Thank you. Wow. Thank you very much. I'm very happy to have this opportunity. All right. I'm very happy to have this opportunity to air my manifesto, but I just have 5 minutes to speak. I'm Comrade Augustine Ape, earlier introduced. I've been in Abuja for about 20 years now. I'm the founder of Keke Nape business, you see. I was among the first set of people. We were 10 on 6 November 2002. We got our keys from Obasanjo at Eagle Square, and the business was tough. Before long, I was alone. So everybody you see in Abuja riding this thing met me on the road, and I tried to arrange them well. All their leaders, all their chairmen, anywhere you find them from Dede to Nyanya, I put them there. Then after serving as their FCT chairman for 8 years, I was selected as the national president. I went further to register tricycle all over the country now as a trade union. So Tricycle Owners Association of Nigeria is a duly registered trade union like Pengasin, Nupeng, ASU. We elected TUC president here June, 3 years ago, in these very premises. And we are still going to do another election this year by June here. Now, I'm a comrade. I fought for people, and it is evident in AMAC here that I have served in this tricycle business. I have built an economy here for 17 years and still expanding. Now, it pains me that my industry is being molested. And it's not enough, like it was said, that it's not enough to sit in your house and pray, Lord, give us our daily bread, then you lie down. You must go and hustle for a daily bread. That is why I picked this challenge after consulting with my people that we need to have people in government. Then, that will open another opportunity for me to serve other industries that have been battered for long. So let me come from my sector now. We have over 7,000 tricycles in Abuja. Are you with me? Each of them pay 100 naira a day, which is 700,000 every day, which is 210 million a month. Now, I want to bet you, and I want to challenge the incumbent APC government, whether 700,000 from KK revenue is hitting the AMAC treasury every day, every week, every month. In 4 years, it amounts to 10 billion naira from my industry in this AMAC. And because of corruption, what they do, the revenue in 1996, Tony and during Abacha had made the declaration that federal government revenue should no longer be collected manually, but you pay to federation account. Then you go to the Inland Revenue Office to pick receipts. AMAC is still collecting revenue manually today. That is corruption. Today, VAT has hit 2-3 trillion naira. It's not that they don't have where to learn the example of how to manage or boost their revenue, but the revenue contractors or consultants, the AMAC chairman or whoever will just call, yes, I need 100,000 in my girlfriend's account. That is what they do. That is corruption. If I get there, if I'm given the chance, every revenue of AMAC will be collected systematically. Go to the markets. They collect this revenue by hand. And it's like sending a dog with bone. Do you send dog with bone? When you ask the human being to take this money belonging to government, go to your house, come back tomorrow and submit it to the treasurer, it doesn't go there.
Thank you,
So,
comrade.
thank you. Corruption that APC is fighting for is what I'm coming to kick them out and fight the corruption properly. Thank you very much.
All right. Mr. Isaac Kowucho.
Ma?
Mr. Isaac Kowucho.
Good morning, everybody. The moderator, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, members of the press. Isaac Kowucho is my name, as already mentioned. I'm representing ANRP, Abundant Nigeria Renewal Party. Amazingly, I'm the only councillor here. And that is an overwhelming privilege. I really want to tell the global shapers community, this should not be restricted to chairmen alone. In the coming election after this one, we do want to have the privilege of having so many councillors come, because the most endearing government to the people is the grassroots leadership, starting from the councillor. Once again, Isaac Kowucho is my name. My profile has already been read, a graduate of English and Literature from University of Maiduguri. I've been a teacher. I love teaching, because the only way you can change the world is by impacting the world from an academic point of view. And that is why I have fallen so much in love with teaching. More so, I'm an activist. Starting from the university, in my department, I was one of the first persons that came with a party called the Vanguard that enthroned an Igbo man as the departmental president for the first time. That University of Maiduguri is believed by the Northerners that it's only the Northerners that can be leaders. And I've always been of the opinion that once you are a Nigerian, you should have the legitimate right to contest anywhere in Nigeria as long as you've stayed there for quite a while. And that is the only time we can say we are a federal system of government. So as it is, the federal system of government is more of a theoretical concept than a practical concept in practice in Nigeria. And by the grace of God, as the only councillor representing Nyanya Ward, I have crafted an agenda which I call the 5S agenda. Topping the list of this 5S agenda is sanitation. It is no news that Nyanya is gradually becoming a dumping ground of waste. Consciously or consciously, if you find yourself in Maitama, you discover that you hardly would drink pure water and throw it on the ground, because the system tells you this place is systematically coordinated. But if you are coming from Maitama into Nyanya, even when it is not your habit to drink pure water and drop on the ground, naturally, the system tells you this place is a dumping ground. And it will amaze you to know that the sanitation program, which is supposed to be all mark in some of this community as contract of a councillor, are being actually ignored by councillors. That goes together with corruption. Nigeria has become the only country where snake could swallow money. And of course, anything could swallow money in Nigeria. And yet the system has nothing to do about that. And yet we are fighting corruption as a nation. I want to tell you, we are deceiving ourselves as a nation. But the problem is not with our leaders, the problem is with us, the citizens. Until we rise up as a people to challenge the system, we are going nowhere. The second S in my agenda is security. Aside the policing, in every growing community, there should be a vigilante system. Back in those days in Nyanya, you could sleep in front of your house, wake up the next morning, and be sure of security. But gradually, we are losing out of security. And I'm promising the Nyanya people, if I'm elected as councillor in Nyanya, all of these things will be curbed, and they will have the best of the security system. They can anticipate anytime, anywhere. And the third S is on sports. Now, all of my agenda are crafted outside our location, because most of the times what the chairman do and the people at the top do is to frustrate you. I will engage NGOs, I will engage corporate bodies, I will engage different embassies through engagement, through interaction, and bring in developmental programs to Nyanya. And I promise you, after 2 years of my tenure, you will be amazed at the overwhelming turnaround in Nyanya. Just to list, because of the time, the fourth S is on skill acquisition, divided into two, the literacy aspect and the craft aspect. Most of the time, our brothers, our younger ones get done from school. And of course, admission is no longer meritocracy. Admission too has been corrupted. So why keep them at home and allowing them to become indolent, committing themselves to crime? We engage them positively through programs that will get them adequately improved. And of course, the last but not the least is on social service. All the parks are the first attraction and the first meeting point of anybody who comes to a community. The parks in Nyanya are abandoned, as well as most of the parks in the FCT. FCT is supposed to be a tourist attraction center, but the reverse is the case. That is in opposition to the 6 principles under which FCT was crafted. So ladies and gentlemen, in order to respect time, I would like to stop here, but in the course of the interaction, you get to know much about my program for FCT. Thank you so much.
All right, I wish to call on Tonye and so Kariari to give his manifesto.
Good morning. My name is Tony Dan Isokariari, and like I was earlier introduced, I am running for the position of chairman of the Abuja Municipal Area Council under ABGA. I believe that, or I'm a passionate believer of, local government inclusiveness and local government engagement. And the reason why I've said that is in looking at the challenges we have as a country, you find out that the only way we can begin to address those challenges, which include leadership crisis, and includes lack of cascading down of our policies or government policies, we found out that the challenge is usually at the bottom level. So if we begin to change the narrative at the bottom level, we can begin to start the process of healing of our country. So that's why I'm running for the office. I'm running for the office so that we can begin to, I believe that government should be a force for good. Government is there for representation. So the spirit and purpose of government is actually representation. And the only way you can represent is by ensuring that the policies or the things that the government wants to do, it comes from what the people actually need, which is representation. In carrying out some of those programs, and things we want to do, we want to ensure that we reach out or we include people in what we're doing. We want to interest you in the business of governance. We found out that in AMAC, just like in the earlier, exercise we did in trying to find out what AMAC stands for and all that, you find that a lot of people don't know what AMAC is or what they stand for or what they do. So some of the things we want to do is to include everybody and get people interested, because AMAC, actually, if you live within AMAC, AMAC is actually the first government you interact with, either through your businesses, through your homes, through the markets, your parks and all that, in sanitations and all that. So if you do not know what is going on in that environment, then it will begin to, you would not yield the dividends of what the government is supposed to give to you. One of our colleagues here said that the tricycle or keke napep alone generates over 200 million naira monthly. Now that is just a tip of the iceberg. There are a lot of other things that AMAC generates. In fact, if it's interesting to know that the total yearly budget, including federal allocation and generated revenue from AMAC, runs up to about 22 billion naira yearly. So the question is, if we don't know, we will all focus on the federal government. We will all focus on what the federal government is doing, because a lot of times AMAC sleeps or tries to slide under what the federal government is doing, because AMAC is based in the city, in the federal capital. But what I've tried to do in my campaigns is try to bring or question that narrative, to question that institution and say, look, you have more to give to us. You collect more, so you should be able to give more to the people. And what I've also tried to do is to ensure that I interest you in that. That's why for the first time, Global Shippers have decided to run, a debate like this. For the first time, I'm seeing people in the room who ordinarily don't know what AMAC does or stands for come for such a debate. It's something that, we have to keep talking and talking about. The last election, the 2016 AMAC election, it's interesting to know that just below 80,000 people voted, the total number of people that voted in the AMAC election. Now that number is not encouraging, because AMAC has over 800,000 registered voters. Now, for a government that operates or handles close to about 22 billion yearly, we have to do more, and we have to demand more, and we have to know what they are doing. We have to ask questions, and that's why I'm running. We found out that some of the things that we've also found out is even in the local communities. So a lot of times people think that Abuja is just, we'll say, Maitama and all that. There are other communities that they are in this AMAC, but they have never seen what the federal capital, or they've never felt the government of AMAC. Communities that have never seen roads, they've never seen schools, they've never seen healthcare. Children are dying daily in these communities. Now, AMAC is supposed to reach out to those communities. There are 144 local communities within AMAC, and I can tell you that 90% of those communities have not been touched or reached. Now, all that will change under our leadership. As we go on in the conversation, I will say a few things of some of the things we want to do in our manifestos or carry out in our manifestos, so that it can begin to give you a better understanding of what we want to do. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tony. A number of our guests have alluded to perhaps the inequalities that we see, whether it's, Tanya speaking about perhaps not necessarily an urban-rural divide, but communities that are in the outskirts of Abuja. But there's something that I would say that binds all of these communities, it's, I would say, in a negative sense, but it's still important because it affects all the communities, and it's this issue of insecurity. Now, it's no news that whether in town or outside, in the outskirts of Abuja, we're seeing anecdotal evidence showing an increase in the number, an alarming increase in insecurity, whether it's one-chance children and adults being abducted, whether it's the lack of street lights or non-functioning traffic lights where people are mugged. You see petty thefts, stealing from people's cars, you see just all sorts of things. And this is a concern for an area council that was once found as peaceful. So I would ask each of our candidates, and Tonya, I'd like to start with you. If you were elected as AMAC chairman, what exactly will you be doing about this insecurity issue? And please give us concrete and specific examples of what you would do to address this. This issue of insecurity is something that a lot of our guests, lots of the individuals who registered had as a question this issue of insecurity. So I'd be looking to you to speak to what concretely you will do to reduce insecurity in AMAC.
Thank you. Insecurity, yes, is a big issue, and we have considered that. And some of the things we're looking out to do is reaching out to the community leaders and setting up what we call like the community policing through the vigilante services. Now, the local communities, or the leadership of the local communities, they actually know the individuals that live within those communities. A lot of times, the reason why, there's a lot of insecurity in the system is because, you just find that the government just come with police and army and all those people and just come into a community, and the people are just watching and looking at you. You don't know them, you don't know who they are, you don't know the places where they hide out and all that. So in working with the local leaders, we can empower them to be able to know who these people are within this community. So if there's an issue in a particular community, we can go to the leader and say, look, we have the policing that we've set up through the vigilante system. You should be able to know the individuals that live within these areas. You should be able to know the people who have come into those areas that are actually not supposed to be in those areas. So we can trash, or we can, seek out those individuals and get them arrested. Now, that is the only way I feel that we can deal with these insecurities at this level. Thank you.
Right, thank you. So thank you very much. I forgot to note that we'd want a response in a minute and a half, but you kept well to time. All right, Comrade Ape, what would you do about insecurity in AMAC?
Thank you very much. You see, even the government of Nigeria have been fingered as being part of insecurity. That is why they have blinded the police and everybody. I've watched on cable, police vehicles are supposed to carry digital cameras front, back, and speaker inside. So that by the time one police vehicle travels around this expressway, somebody sitting at the division 2 is watching, close to the DCO, DTO, DPO, to say, Oga, this is what is happening. What does it cost? Politicians, they have these things on their vehicles. Abuja has been blessed with hills. Just a single mast on Aso Rock with cameras on it can view from Zuba to Nyanya, up to Gwagwalada. There are hills in Jukwe, Karo. Up there, when you are coming from Kefi, you see as if...
Comrade Ape, sorry, please go straight to the point.
Yes.
What exactly
so what I'm
will
saying
you
is
do?
that we are going to go digital on security.
Okay, can you expand that further? What does that mean,
Yes, what I'm saying is that we are going to plant masts with cameras on hills, skyscrapers that God has blessed us with, very tall buildings here. And police vehicles will assist them to carry cameras there. Then people sit in various offices morning and night while they do the patrol.
Noted. Thank you. Sorry, this is the rapid fire 1.5 minutes.
All right, that is just it. We'll
Okay.
go digital because already we have security apparatus on ground that is not effective.
Thank
You
you.
just boost it.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Owoicho, what would you do about security? Insecurity.
Even when you plant the satellites, the cameras on the hills, because of the corrupt system from the top, there is still this possibility they will climb that hill, get them brought down, get them adulterated, so that they don't even function. So what do? The policing system already has been corrupted politically. They now aid thuggery. They now function as thugs to most of the politicians already. So we really can't count so much on the existing security system in Nigeria, emphatically in the FCT. Now, there is this scenario in Nyanya, when you are coming from Karo Axis, thereabout to Nyanya, once it is 8, 9 to midnight, you discover that you meet a lot of police people there. They don't care whether you are carrying bomb. They don't care whether you are carrying any weapon, so long you give them 20 naira.
So what will you do about
50
that?
naira. So what we need to do is to domesticate security.
And can you expand on that?
Yes, let's domesticate security through a vigilante system so that we can actually curtail some of the crimes in our various communities. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Mr. Oladimeji, how would you tackle rising insecurity in AMAC?
Thank you very much. Just yesterday, myself and my campaign team were walking around the town, and we are discussing the issue of CCTV. And I quickly point to one of the councillors, which indicated that this is one of the CCTV that was provided for the area council some years ago with about 260 billion naira, championed by one former IG, Okiro. But the reality is that elements who run Nigeria do not even want security of ordinary people to be guaranteed. Their own is that once they are harmed, of course, if the incumbent chairman of AMAC is here now, you could imagine the number of security that will be here. Sadly, none of the two big parties who share money on elections here who are there. But in reality is that our own party, let me read out the program of the Party for Security. The SPN will provide support for democratically controlled vigilante groups in communities in order to entrench efficient community policing. And in conclusion is that you cannot, an idle hand is a devil workshop. One of the ways also that we need to keep our youth busy, not by empowerment like Empower or what about, but the reality is that community people also have to be armed to defend themselves. That's one of the best ways we can guarantee security in our communities and as a country as a whole. Thank you.
All right, thank you. So it seems that there are some differing opinions from having a community vigilante to going digital. Do any of you have a follow-up comments on perhaps how exactly you will differentiate your ideas? Where will you get these vigilante from? It seems very easy. It rolls off very quickly off the tongue to say we'll get community vigilantes or we'll spend money to do some digitization of security. Can you get a bit deeper in 30 seconds on this issue of security?
Okay. First of all, we must also understand that AMAC is there are powers of AMAC. AMAC is being governed by bylaws, and there are certain things that AMAC cannot do. So you can't just start setting up security masts and all that across AMAC. We do not have the right to do that. The laws that set up AMAC does not allow you to do that. However, I believe that in dealing with, because AMAC is still a local government, so it deals with grassroots. It deals with the grassroots. I believe that the only way to deal with security issues, because these people live in communities, so you need to look out for you need to go to the community leadership and get them to get individuals who will make up the vigilante. Then they will know the individuals that come in and out of those communities and who are people who are just, so they'll be able to differentiate who are the good people and the bad people in those communities, and you can begin to address that issue.
All right, thank you. What about in the urban areas? Because I appreciate that we've spoken about using vigilantes in communities in the outskirts of Abuja. What about downtown Abuja? What will be done? Or what can be done? Or what are you? Yeah.
So there's no, AMAC is a cosmopolitan city, right? So even within Wuse, there are certain communities within Wuse. There are certain communities within Kabusa and all that. Now, I'm saying that there are community leaders everywhere, and these individuals that cause challenges in whether urban or wherever they cause those issues, they live within those areas. And these community leaders know these people. So I believe that if we address it that way, they will know when foreigners or strangers come into their into their community, and they'll be able to address that. That's what I think can handle that situation.
All right, thank you. So let's leave security now and actually look at inclusive governance. This issue is one that was raised earlier on in terms of having more people represented, whether it's in terms of ethnicity at the FCT, local government level, or having more young people, or even in terms of looking at having more women represented, whether in government, is one thing. But on the other hand, we also see an opportunity to have people be more involved in governance in terms of understanding expenditures, understanding revenues. I'm curious, and I think a number of our guests asked questions related to inclusive governance. How or what, if you are elected AMAC chairman, what are the steps you are thinking of, if at all, to ensure that you have more people within, residents have a better understanding of how governance really runs, of the expenditures, of the capital flows, of the resource flows within your government? Anyone can take that.
Okay. When we say we're going to run an inclusive government, or a government where the voices of the people will be heard, we felt that, or what we are going to do is to have like quarterly town hall meetings at the various ward level. Now, it means that at every ward in the 12 wards of AMAC, myself and my team will have to go there quarterly to be able to engage the people, hear from them, and they hear from us also to know our challenges, and we know their challenges. Now, that is one way to be able to deal with the people being heard, or the people participating in what we're doing. The second way also is just to reach out through the social media, platforms, because like I said, AMAC, AMAC is a cosmopolitan city, so largely educated individuals live within AMAC. So we're going to also take advantage, or full advantage, of the social media to be able to reach out to people. We've also said that we're going to have like a 72 hours response system, which is like a 3-day period where you come and interact with us, and we will get back to you in the space of 3 days. I believe that if we do that, we can, engage people further and answer questions, or solve challenges as they come.
In our midst, a candidate who's also joined us. Her name is Barrister Data Amchi from the YDP party. And because we're an inclusive group, we would allow her this opportunity to join the conversations, if you will, a gentleman. So please, let's welcome Barrister to join the conversation. All right, thank you. So we will allow for about a minute for you to please introduce yourself. We've already started with the other candidates. So please, in a minute, please introduce yourself and perhaps the issue that really is making you run for AMAC chairman.
Hello, everybody. How are you doing? First of all, let me apologize for being late. However, I was on a road campaign, so I just rushed up. Gentlemen, please forgive me. But I know wherever there are men, women can be there too. Please clap for that, the ladies. So, going to the point, my name is Honorable Data Amakri. And my party is Young Democratic Party, YDP. YDP. I'm honored to be here. The question that was asked me is, could you repeat it?
Sure. What issue are you running or campaigning on? Why are you running for the AMAC Chairmanship?
Okay, what issue am I running on and why am I campaigning? And well, let's start with the issues.
One issue, please.
Okay, just one
Because of
issue.
time, yes, please.
The most important issue for me is physical results. What do I mean by physical results? When I was asked by the party to show interest in this, the Young Democratic Party, to show interest, I honestly was educated about AMAC. So before I go into something, I do my homework. I went to AMAC. I found out what their budget is. I found out the performance level. And I just did a sensitization on people living in AMAC, whether they're satisfied, whether they feel there's... When I saw the budget AMAC has yearly, and I did my homework and looked at the results, I didn't see the physical results, what we can see with our eyes.
Okay.
I don't know if I'm allowed to say the budget, but AMAC has a huge budget, and just even if it's one of the 12 wards under AMAC, it's supposed to look like Dubai with that kind of money. Am I correct? Yes. Thank you. Even my colleague is agreeing. It's scary to know, here we go, that they have a budget, am I allowed to say, of 6.9 billion. I wasn't happy to hear that.
Okay.
That's the one issue. The second question?
Well, essentially why you're running.
Okay. Yeah. Why am I running? I was approached by young people. Young people always come up with good ideas, but they don't have the help. So they usually come to me. Oh, I want to do this project. So I show interest. And eventually they asked me to run for Senator FCT. I said, no, I can't handle the National Assembly. They said, oh, there's AMAC. So they educated that AMAC controls hospitals, and
Noted.
I showed that interest. That's because of the approaching me. That was my initial entry as a first-time politician.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
On that note, speaking of young people, let's turn our attention to the issue of jobs. And so now we're doing a rapid fire answers, so about a minute and a half to describe what you would do about an issue that is raised. So specifically, the reality is that we know from the National Bureau of Statistics that the level of unemployment is about 23% of the population, which is quite high. Nearly a fourth of young adults are unemployed. We also know that this translates to higher unemployment for women, but also interestingly for young people in a country that has more than 70% of young people under the age of 30. So specifically to each of the candidates, and I'd like to start with Mr. Oladimeji, what exactly is your agenda to help young people get jobs, but more concretely, how will you improve economic growth in AMAC? What steps are you looking at to increase access to jobs for young people in AMAC?
All right, thank you very much. Just let me continue with our manifesto, then I answer the question.
In 1.5 minutes, sir.
No problem, no problem.
Okay. Timekeeper.
I was very happy that the president of Kekemarwa is here and also is a candidate. During our campaign training, we met, while moving house to house, we met some shops and they said, get out. AMAC will come here and charge us 5,000 yearly. Then you get to the Kekemarwa garage and they say, get out, we don't want to hear from AMAC. AMAC always sees our Keke and they charge us 100 naira daily. Then you go to an Okada rider and they say, oh, I'm not going to vote again, this and that, and the reason is that he pays 15 naira every day at gunpoint. by the tax revenue in AMAC. Now, one of our own party manifesto is that the tenement rates AMAC is generating, thankfully, the Kekemara president who is here have analyzed how huge money AMAC gained, and Tony himself has also, I align with both the two of them and say about the huge revenue coming into. We've not talked about the tenement rates. And what that means to you is that we need to look at how to make life better for people by reducing of these tax. In many of the shops, all of what they have in these shops is not up to 20,000.
All
So on
right.
the basis of creating jobs, youth were employed to run after Okada riders to beat them in order to get money into AMAC. But this money we are not even accountable for. What our own party will do is to commit this money to Ministry of Works, get people employed in many of these communities to begin the road constructions. That is one of the major ways we can end joblessness among the youth.
All
We
right,
cannot,
thank you. Thank you.
Oh, okay.
Thank you. All right, let me call on Mr. Owoiche.
Well, when you have sincere leadership, creating job is very easy. Let me start from my domain, which is Nyanya. Nyanya is so endowed and so blessed with so much if we choose to tap into the resources in Nyanya. Let's start from the security system. You could recruit 50 young men based on the leadership structure there already existing from the community leadership, send them to the guard company for training, for professionalism. When they're done, part of their location generated, revenue generated, because Nyanya is one of the highest generating wards in AMAC. And then just give us a percentage to have these young men placed on salary. They wouldn't be rushing out every morning looking for a job in the city. They already have within their community. And of course, one of the best ways to deal with a thief is that carry the money that is supposed to be stolen by that thief, give it to the thief, keep it. You discover that he keeps it better.
Okay.
And of course, when you go to Angwadadi in Nyanya and look at the hill there, nobody looks at that hill. That hill is a tourist center, a potential tourist center.
All right.
And of course, if you can build cable cars around that hill, you will attract a whole lot of investors to come into Nyanya and tap into the resources in Nyanya and so more. But because of time, let me stop here. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Comrade Ape.
Thank you. As a pioneer beneficiary of NAPEP, National Poverty Eradication Program, I had opportunity to listen to Obasanjo that time, and he said there are two classes of poor people, the active poor and the dormant poor. That Obasanjo said you must concentrate on the active poor. When you jack them up, the rest will follow. Where do we find this active poor? We see hawkers at traffic lights. AMAC, they come, bundle them, Suleja prison. Ask them, their mates are sleeping at home, playing pool or betting or all of that. We still find active poor riding Okada, active poor doing keke business, active poor traders in the market. Then they have similar problem. The bank says that these people live within an unbankable addresses. So my address is behind Chief Palace, Karshi. You go to bank, you cannot access anything.
Okay.
So because of that, the idea of solving their problem is organizing them into cooperatives. Okay. Whether the address of the cooperative is under the bridge or at the Chief Palace or in the primary school, they are now bankable.
All right.
Then they will also, they will also need collateral to get these loans. That is where AMAC will come in. You make a fixed deposit from these same people you are collecting revenue, 10 years deposit, the interest should stand there and wait for defaulters.
Okay.
Then you register this cooperative and shorty them or write letter of comfort or bank guarantee to them. You continue to roll them to the bank. The bank has the fixed deposit as collateral. They give them money. They are active for. They know how to find their way out and grow.
Thank you.
Life. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
pro-business friendly. That means we're going to encourage businesses to thrive, to grow, and all that. I'm aware that the economy of AMAC, what gives fuel to, AMAC is the small businesses. And those small businesses, a lot of times, have been hampered or harassed to go out of business. So what we're going to do is to encourage, or limit those challenges by unbundling the multiple taxation policy, one. Secondly, we also need to ensure that the businesses are able to thrive within the area they function in. Another thing we're going to do to also help is we're setting up what we call the Community Development, Community Development Fund, the CDF. What that will do is to help the communities to develop. So that fund will be set aside for communities to develop with. Now, what that will do is to encourage employment of people within those communities, which will now take away, the challenges of people who are not doing anything, young people who are not doing anything. They'll get employed and all that. We also invest a lot on infrastructural development within the communities. Like I said, almost 95% of the communities are not developed at all. So if we spend a lot of money on the infrastructure side, we'll be able to create jobs. We'll be able to create a lot of jobs in those areas. So we ensure that the businesses are not harassed, they're not thrown out of business. We also invest in infrastructure to create jobs, and we believe that that will now in turn ensure that there's money flowing within, the economy of AMAC. Thank you.
Thank you. My answer to the question, what we can do for the youth to gain employment, has been answered very well by all my colleagues. I just want to add a question. When a young person has graduated, in the morning he wakes up, has his bath, and for 3-4 years he still doesn't have a job. So what I did, I made 2 surveys, one to the educated youth, those are people under the age of 35, one to the youth that have not been educated. And I asked them, what would they like to do? And they said they want to be able to use their hands. They need to use their hands. This is on the those that haven't had education. Like, I want to learn hairdressing. I want to do welding. I did a survey. And I was thinking, okay, what happens if we have a vocational center? And it's free of charge for learning, because I know some people can go and do sewing and they pay 15,000 and they graduate. I want to take away, no disrespect, the idea that youths are lazy. I explained to them the difference between my position and their position is opportunity. I grabbed the opportunity.
Okay.
So that was for the ones that were not educated. Please, if we can go somewhere and learn something, just do that for us. We'll be able to take it on from there. AMAC could create vocational centers. For those that have graduated, intelligent, then they need, this is just my opinion, AMAC could employ a percentage of people. They could employ, why not? A percentage of people that have graduated. I will make it even easy for AMAC for 2 years and have not had work. You won't know whether they've had work, but not fresh out of university. At least they've had experience of knowing the eagerness of working. They could have a percentage of any new people coming in, as opposed to my sister, my brother.
All right.
And it doesn't stop at AMAC. You can also reach out to NGOs, to businesses at a certain percentage, because it's all about earning your money. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Let's move, So let's move on to talk about healthcare. We know that health, as we say, is wealth. And so if young people, or anyone for that matter, are not well, they cannot be at work, they cannot hold their jobs. So the next question is to our candidates. What is your take on this issue of what needs to be done to improve access to healthcare in AMAC? And anyone can start.
Thank you.
All right.
So what we've decided to do is AMAC is in charge of primary healthcare, basically, which is like the basic healthcare. Some of the, or most, every ward is actually supposed to have like a healthcare facility. Now, but the ward is not just enough, so we have communities in those wards. So apart from ensuring that every primary healthcare facility is functioning and effective and properly equipped, we also want to do what we call the mobile healthcare plan. What that would do is in clusters of communities, so communities that live within themselves or in a few, maybe a group of 5 or 6 communities, will have like the mobile clinics stationed in those areas. We also want to look at those mobile clinics will have, of course, like a nurse or a midwife, and all that. Then we also train the midwives to ensure that, to help curtail like the birth or the mortality rates we have amongst children. In the healthcare facility also every market, we've said that every market will have a health center because most markets don't have that. We've said that every market would have a nurse and a physician that visits every 2 days or every 3 days, depending on the issues. We've also said that every primary healthcare center in the wards would have an ambulance service, because a lot of times we find that because that service is not there, people, it's challenging for people to get to like the general hospitals and all that. Also, another thing we're looking at for healthcare is to have like, on a particular day in a particular community. So we'll have like a doctor's show where doctors, using, NGOs and all that can go to particular communities to ensure that they do, surgeries and all those things free of charge, of course. We've also said that from 0 to 5 years within the communities in those health facilities, they will have free healthcare, and 65 years and above will have free healthcare.
Thank you. Can I press you on that a little
Sure,
bit?
go ahead.
And I have a background in public health, so this is also coming from my daily bread. How will you pay for all these grand ideas? They sound great. You're going to be free to the community, but how are you thinking about paying for these ideas that you've enumerated?
First of all, it is not expensive to set up the infrastructures for all these things. It just depends on how deliberate you are. For us, healthcare and education is paramount and key to us. So we're taking it, those are like our heavy spenders. Those are the things we're going to spend a lot of money on. I believe that if we do those things, we can also encourage, NGOs to come and help, especially with the drugs and certain equipment and all that. They are ready. It's just they're looking for the right persons to, interface with, and we believe that we'll position ourselves well for that.
Okay. Yes, Mr. Olatimichi.
As socialists, one of our cardinal programs is issue of healthcare. And I will try to point attention to that even the US of the world do not guarantee a good life expectancy for a citizen, despite the fact that they value life. We will throw our idea behind the development in China and in Cuba specifically, where we have a life expectancy for men is 80, and for women is 81. And we all know that in Nigeria today, people died of what's it called? People die of ordinary malaria. In Cuba, the last time a comrade visited Cuba, when some of them have malaria, they were quarantined. Similarly, in Venezuela, the community that have a breakout of malaria is like when you talk of Lassa fever or Ebola here, people are quarantined because there is no malaria. Now, what is our own plan for the community and even for the country at large? Because a small party like our own today is working hard in building a movement that will become more bigger in the coming period. And our program is that one of the first things that breed malaria is mosquito. And one of the things that brought mosquito every day is that we are living in a society and communities that have no drainage, which means that the issue of health sector, to make health sector functional, we also have to talk about the issue of environment. And that means that we need to fund both Ministry of Environment and Ministry of Health, and the money must be democratic control. It's not going to end in patron or matron of the hospitals and the nurses. It's not going to end in their policy. So our plan is that we will align with international organizations to build, to see possibility of building my DG is the only one that has the complete program of for the environment. How we can reduce mosquito because when we reduce mosquito, we can reduce malaria. When the issue of health, for instance, now
Okay.
the issue of child mortality. Another thing about it is that
Okay.
in Cuba they have 0%. In Nigeria, the Nigeria percent has increased to 66, if not more. This shows that we don't value life. People who are breathing AMAC or even Nigerians, all of them are just looting public money.
Okay.
The money supposed to be for health sector have been looted.
Okay.
Oh,
Thank you.
all right, thank you very
sir.
much.
Thank you.
Just like Comrade has said, buying into Cuban concept of health programs, I still want to toe that line. Most of the times we nurture ideas on premises on faulty premises. You cannot solve a problem until the problem is identified.
Okay.
Building health centers without proper orientation on the psychology of the people is infertility. Now, the Nigerian people lack an hygienic, mentality. That has to be dealt with fundamentally. For example, in Nyanya, most of the gutters, the drainage systems, they are forgotten issues. So, malaria, cholera are products of dirty environments. So what do? If you can clean up the environment, you can introduce good hygiene programs, I tell you, you wouldn't be talking much on health, because health is wealth. So my party, ANRP, is a proactive party. We've crafted a system where we want to tackle the foundational problem. I'm going to, as a councillor, I want to stage a program which is Operation Clean Up Nyanya. And that it's going to be a competitive thing where we tell you at the end of the year, the cleanest area gets an award. You know, I've come to realize that most of the times people do better when they have the spirit of competition, or when they have something to gain for their own lives again. Now, I'm sure a lot of us, we must have seen a coffin. If you see a coffin from the outside, so beautiful, most of them plated with gold. But on the inside, it stinks. You understand? So we want to take it from the inside to the outside, organizing programs for everybody. For the old and the aged in Nyanya, I'm already negotiating. I haven't won yet, but I don't want to be a leader who gets to power and start planning. I'm already planning before winning. So when I win, I want to introduce aerobics. I want to introduce community training center where we go on sports and a lot of that, and that itself reduces sicknesses and a lot of that. So if you want to reduce diseases and all of that, you need to start from the foundation, which is what? Operation Clean Up Your Community, and then all of these things can follow suit. Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, sir.
Am I on? Yeah. The problem of health today, even though it's natural, sometimes I feel that the government connives with the pharmacists to mortgage our health. Yes. Although I don't...
Sir, please tell us what you will do.
Yeah. I'm coming. Let me come. So after blocking the leakages of revenue to the government, we can now budget properly for the health. Then I remember when AMAC hospitals, the hospital beds were free. You understand me? Then when the budget is okay, we can now come to, maybe if you go to any AMAC hospital, the bed is free. Maybe ambulance services is free. Drugs is free, or certain drugs will be free. But the main thing that is bouncing in my head that I want to do, not even only AMAC, if I'm given the president of Nigeria. When I was in JSS 1, I took vaccine of typhoid, and it took me throughout my secondary school. That was 1989 to 1994. I didn't have any problem with typhoid. Today, there is no vaccine for typhoid. And when you are growing older, you must get sick. Check the phone number, the phone contacts of an old man. His doctor, this herbal doctor, and all of that. Those things, they come naturally. And typhoid boosts, or how do I say, it escalates BP because it's an anemia, it's something that deals with the blood. Malaria as well.
So sir,
Malaria,
you're giving
when
a-
you're, excuse
okay.
me, finally, when a white man is coming from US, they give them vaccines for malaria, but we don't have it here. And all the drugs, 90% of drugs in the pharmacies today are malaria and typhoid because they are making money from us getting sick of these two major sicknesses. So we must get whatever it will take me to get vaccines for these two sicknesses. I will do it when I get there. Thank you very much.
Okay. Anyone else want to talk on healthcare? Okay.
Okay. Proper health. Health is wealth. I used to think education was more important than health, but you're correct. Health is wealth. Without good health, you can't survive. Why don't we just make it really simple? We will copy a system that works. In England, they have national health. I know we have a system of that here. But just simple, let's just even say it's going to be for free blood tests. And the free blood test would be for malaria and typhoid that my clients have been saying. My colleagues have been saying. I'm a lawyer, sorry. And then that would cut out the pharmacist. So anytime you have a headache or your body's hot, you stop going to the pharmacist and saying, my back is paining me, I'm having ache. You should be able to, again, correct me if I'm wrong, I understand AMAC is in charge of hospitals. There must be a budget whereby drip is free. And I actually know there is a budget whereby drip is free. But the public is not aware of that. And you don't want mama to die, so you rush and buy the drip that has been paid for. Needles are free. Cotton wool is free. The most they'll tell you once you know you're right is that, yes, it's true, but we don't have. Quickly, go and buy it. So, see, mama is going. You've got to do proper data collection.
Okay.
And I really, really want to make it simple. I don't want to make it too complicated because, like you said, where are you going to get the funds from? But AMAC, they still have revenues of 3 billion naira every month. No, I'm not talking about the budget. They bring in money from the overtax shops, like you were saying, from the taxi parks, like you were saying, from the market women, from all areas. Why can't one of the revenues there be for, let's go simple. If there's a handicapped person, from the data I did, handicap needs attention. The pregnant women need attention. The elderly, it scares me, the elderly are so dependent on extended family. And if there's no means. So I'm trying to make it as simple as possible. If AMAC has a budget for, I'm calling it national health, and we make it as simple as free malaria and typhoid tests. I'm not adding the drugs, even though they may be able to, but let's know what's wrong with us first.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, so a final question from me before we open it up to the floor. Specifically, it's looking at education. And we have a question that came in asking to find out from the candidates exactly what your vision is for education in AMAC. What is your vision for education in AMAC? Where do you see the challenges and how do you think you will solve them for education in AMAC?
Hello? For the past 10 years, the organization that registered the Socialist Party of Nigeria, SPN, have consistently fight in the last 35 years since it was formed in Nigeria, the Democratic Socialist Movement, formerly militant, and then from labor militant to militant, and then to the DSM, and now we have the SPN. One of our campaign platform is Education Rights Campaign. Consistently, since the organization has been formed in 2004, we have always fight for improving funding of education. We not only call for funding of education, because our slogan is free, functional, and quality education is at all level. But at AMAC level, one of the things we need to think about is that our party program is that UNESCO said a developing country like Nigeria, before you can survive and give education to the people that will meet any world standard, the budgetary allocation must not be less than 26%. And sincerely yours, no government, either from Yaradua, since the organization has been formed, Obasanjo to Yaradua to Goodluck to Buhari, none of them have increased education to 10%.
Okay.
Now, at the level of AMAC, we will increase funding of education. We will not only say we increase the funding, we will democratically manage it by the Nigerian Union of Teachers, principals, corps, other unions in the schools, then the Parents and Teachers Association. Because
Okay.
one of the, what we call democracy is very well what many Nigerians and even journalists call democracy.
Okay.
What we call democracy is just for 4 years, 3 years of election.
Okay.
But to us as an organization, as a movement of the people,
Okay.
talking about the socialist transformation of society, where the collective resource society will be used for the benefit of everybody.
Okay.
What we mean is that when you elected somebody and it's not performing well, a referendum can be organized and it should be removed.
Okay.
The reason why that is, so if we put resources in a place and it's not adequately used like the primary school, the parent teacher associations, the union, Nigeria Union of Teachers, in those communities, in where the schools are located, community meeting will be called and the principal will be removed.
Thank you.
Resources will be democratically managed so that our primary educations can meet international standard.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Anyone else want to take on education?
Thank you. In going around AMAC and looking at the lapses in education, in basic education, basically, we found out that there were 2 issues. So one of the issues was infrastructure. So you have the buildings and all that, and then it's not properly, put together, and children, you can't even understand how children are able to learn in such environments. Then the second challenge, we found out that they don't even have the right teachers to teach them. So in sorting that out for us, because like we said, education is key to one of the things we want to do, is we want to ensure that we take on the present as it is today, the infrastructure as it is today, and bring it up to par, make it conducive for the kids to be able to learn in. Then the second thing is to train the teachers, train the teachers over and over again to ensure that the right teachers are able to teach the kids. Then on the vocational side, we have a lot of vocational centers in AMAC that are actually functioning. All we need to do is to look for the needs assessments and begin to, work with those vocational centers to be able to churn out the right, skill, basically, or teach the right skill for, what we require. So I was looking at, for instance, when I was, in the job I was before, where we dealt with the power sector. The power sector till today still has like a lapse in terms of engagement.
Okay.
We still have a lapse of over 700 and something thousand people who are supposed to, be employed by the power sector.
Okay.
So that's an issue, or that's a lapses that we can take advantage of. So why don't we use our vocational centers, train people in certain soft skills in the power sector, so that when there's when there are job openings for those areas, they can take these people on.
All right.
So basically, those are some of the things we want to do, in the educational sector.
All right, thank you. Okay, I know I said that was going to be my last question, but I'd like to ask, okay, I'm told, okay. All right.
Could I just say something on education?
Oh, yes, please.
So, thank you. Thank you. I think Edmund Burke said that we must educate our masters. Our masters are our future generation. And as simple as a 9-inch block, that was the chair I saw in Orozo, and 2 9-inch blocks were the tables. And when it rained, that was the end of school for the day. So if this is the best we can do, it's a pity. Let us put I keep going back to the simplicity as opposed to the administrative and all that. Let's just get, because we're talking about most of them are grassroots. Let's get the basics correct first. There must be a workable atmosphere. Tables, chairs. I don't mean to embarrass anybody. I sat in the class and I was listening to the rhyme. A, B, Q, R, F, G, K, because it was rhyming. Had no idea. Then I now turned to the teacher to read, and it was even worse. And I'm happy my colleagues said that there should be, better training.
Okay.
And I'm happy also that even though they're vocational centers, they should be improved upon. But basically about education, you have got to get the right environment, the basic training. As a child, the only reason why I did well in a subject is because actually I liked that teacher. You have got to get the correct teachers trained properly, as my colleague said.
Okay.
That's the basis of education.
Okay.
I need to.
This is my field. So I wouldn't want you to let it go like that. The educational system in Nigeria as a whole is mad. I must be honest with you.
Okay.
It's so unfortunate that, so sorry, please. It's unfortunate that what our leaders only get from the outside world is their personal buildings and the best of the cars for themselves. They don't see the best of the infrastructures to bring to our country. It's so mad that the Nigerian society is more of a theoretical society than a practical society.
Okay.
Even when you go to the science-oriented institutions, you hardly find practical materials. So we end up writing books rather than producing products. Most of the telephones, most of the materials we consume are not produced by companies. Some of them are practicals given to students in China and then brought to Nigeria for sale.
Okay.
So we need to reduce the number of subjects
Okay.
and be more practical, introduce more practical courses.
Okay.
It's only in Nigeria we reduce the major, the major and increase the minors. A point came, even history was minors from our curriculum.
Okay.
You see, it's a math system.
Okay.
We have a generation of people, young people, who really don't know much about their society.
Okay.
Asking questions about AMAC, to be precise. You discover a lot of people couldn't know much about AMAC. It's as bad as that. So we need to improve the porosity that
Okay.
has already cankerwormed the educational system
Thank you.
in Nigeria.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right, thank you. Okay, so now we're going to turn it over to our audience. If you would like to ask our candidates a question, let's see your hand, please. Okay, I will take the gentleman in front first. The lady is your number 2. And the gentleman in blue is number 3. Please, okay, so please, yes, so yeah, please introduce yourself. Please ask your question in 30 seconds. Please get straight to the point. We'd appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Melvin. I want to know if you all support the Freedom of Information Act, and when you get into office, will you be having maybe a weekly or daily press conference that will inform the people of the municipality on ongoing project and the daily workings of your office, and take questions from the press and the people, as this will help in enhancing transparency and accountability?
My name is Dr. Doris Amaka. I am the senatorial candidate for FCT 2019. I just finished the election, and I'm here to support you guys to do your own in peace. I just want to answer the young man that just finished talking, because what he said now touched my heart. When I traveled to Dubai, I found out that the education system is something else. Nigeria, we are not yet what we are not near to what we are looking for in education. So I want to ask you, if given this mandate, what are you going to do differently to make sure that our schools are in standard form?
Okay. The gentleman in the blue at the back.
Sorry, please, can I speak for 2 minutes? Okay, okay.
No,
My-
thank
okay,
you.
It's okay, it's okay. My name is Mustafa Said. I live in Maitama and I volunteer at Model Secondary School Maitama as well. Now, my dad was once a councillor and I could remember how he would come back and be telling my mom about how he want to change things, but they are just out of his reach. So for the councillorship candidate, just know that there are things that are out of your reach, to be frank with you. And not just you, all the candidates. And let me just justify my question to the candidate of ABGA. I'm not referring to him, but I'm referring to all other candidates seated on the panel. AMAC is just like Ugoja local government in Cross River or Etiosa local government in Lagos or Emoti in Gombe State. There is nothing peculiar about AMAC relative to all other 773 local governments, putting AMAC 774. So whenever you are trying to address questions or problems relating to AMAC, just know that AMAC is just a local government. Make sure that the institutions that you are intending to use to solve the problems of AMAC are institutions that are within the reach of a local government chairman.
And your question, please?
Now, my question is, given how all the candidates, with the exception of the ABGA candidate, were talking about problems that are external to Nigeria, some of them even using conspiracy theories, which I don't like, to talk about why we have problems in AMAC. I just want to ask you, how can you please, how do you think, how are you going to assure us as residents of AMAC that should you win elections, you are not going to let other problems that are external to the, out of the reach of the chairman of AMAC local government, not to distract you, because they might distract you and you might not be able to overwhelm them. That's what I think. Please, how can you answer this question?
All right, thank you. All right, so I'll call on our candidates to respond.
Well, let me start from the one directed to me.
Okay, sorry, in a 1 minute, please, because
Yes.
of our time.
I don't like young men saying it is not possible. Everything in life starts with a dream. Nigeria cannot be the worst nation in the world. Great nations in the world today were worse than we are currently. With the right sets of people, no matter their number, agreeing to do the right thing, they can start from there. So that your father didn't succeed then does not mean we are not going to succeed as leaders of the current dispensation. We will use the arsenal, which is the youth within our community, to demand for what is fundamentally ours. If Martin Luther King, in the midst of hostility, which is the worst anywhere in the world, could say, I have a dream, and he achieved that dream, we are, together with you, sir, joining hands together to do the right thing starting from now. Is that okay? So, what I'm going to do differently, is that, for now, we just have to start the educational process from a gradual point of view, because meritocracy has been displaced in Nigeria. The children who read most are the ones who don't get the jobs. The children who don't read at all are the ones who get the best of the jobs. That has discouraged hard work in the educational sector already. We need to come together as a nation. Thank God there is a barrister in our midst. We have to canvass. We have to fight. Is that okay? Where children who don't read will not pass their exams. Then they will learn, everybody will learn to work, and then the nation will grow and get better. So there is no much time on my side. I would have educated us more on how to do most of these things. Maybe in the next class, we are going to do all of that. Yes.
Hello, thank you
All
very
right,
much.
We'll take you on that. All right, sir.
Sorry, please, let me start by seeking permission to fall out after my presentation, please. I have an appointment in an embassy, and I came because of the respect I have for the organization and because of the audience, please.
Thank you.
So somebody asked about how are we going to run governance. Something about the governance is that something about our own socialist idea and our prognosis in elections. Because some people say socialists don't even need to participate in elections. We just need to fight and take over the government, you know. But the reality is that when we hold positions, we use it to advance the cost of the working people. That is why the issue of how do we relate with the people. That if you have a government, then you have a PR department, we have a social media department, but what they will be doing is not just propaganda, like some people are defending the lies in the presidency. But what we will be doing is to educate the people. Why should people because in 1959, in 1956, when Fidel Castro took over government in Cuba, the question was that, do you want socialism? People said no. But do you want free health? Yes. Do you want free education? They said yes. Do you want all the key sectors of the economy should be nationalized? People said yes. But how do you get all of this thing without socialism? So it is going to be democracy by the people, and it's going to be run by the people. You cannot, the problem today we have, why the increasing inequality and injustice among the people is increasing, is because governors have been turned to, they will say we are serving you, but they ride inside Prado Jeep, they go to campaign and wave to people inside Prado Jeep. I'm not promoting poverty. That poverty means poverty, the people should be poor, but the people in governance should be poor. But one of the things that they should place themselves on the salary of a civil servant. And we run government with all inclusive, with the trade unions, community leaders. So that is what governance is all about. It's not all about just issuing press statement and dividing lies in the media. Somebody talk about mandate. Our mandate as socialists, as activists, as community organizers, like today, one of the reasons why we also came late to this place, the issue of estimated bidding in our community. Over 450 youths on the street demanding that they want prepaid meter. And as a political activist, we have a platform, Coalition for Affordable and Regular Electricity. We intervened. That's why we came late here. Because if you don't intervene, how then do you tell people to even vote for you, that you are different from the petty budget politicians out there? So those are the reality. And on the final note is that my friend talked about his dad who is a counselor that failed. Yes, that is why our own idea is that if you can't join them, they said, the normal slogan, if you can't beat them, you join them. If you can't join them, you stand out. We have a counselor candidate who is here. In our program for our counselors are not going to, if you go a counselor and you are promising people that you will put AC on the road, you are deceiving the people. If you're a counselor and say you will build borehole, you are deceiving. Your responsibility is to, that is why in our party manifesto, people will, if you're elected as councillor, you continue to live in the community. Elected councillors in Jikoyi, Nyanya, for Karu Ward, they live in Asokoro. The one in Nyanya, they live in Asokoro. You only see them when election is around the corner, they want to run the party primary. That's not government, that's not representation. Representation by our own party, and what we mean by it is that we should defend the people of that community, call the attention of the area council to defend the road, the issue of road, the issue of electricity, and many more. But we cannot continue to galvanize all of our programs alone here. But of course, whoever wins the election, the struggle for actualization and making Nigeria better continues at the level of Socialist Party of Nigeria. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
So thank you, Melvin, I think. Melvin was one, yeah. So Freedom of Information Act, yes, I encourage it. I said we're going to have regular town hall meetings, not just at the ward level, but quarterly, through using social media to reach out to a lot of people. We also said we're going to have like a 72-hour response time where, information that you need or things you require gets to us and we respond, in a space of 72 hours, which is 3 days. So yes, that we felt will also encourage the transparency issue, because we found out that some people, a lot of times are very, suspicious of government. So the only way to be able to kill that or reduce that is to be transparent, open, and be able to sell your activities or achievements to the people regularly. And I think the local council is actually the reason why we have town hall meetings, because the local council is representation of the town hall, of the people. So you have those meetings to be able to reach out to people. Like I always say, you can have a local council chairman who does not go around the wards, who have never been to the wards or the communities to find out exactly the challenges. Also, there are things that you've said you're going to do. Some people may not do it. And if you don't go around, you can't know. So I feel that that's some of the things we're going to do to help to curb that. Mustafa talked about external distraction is a serious issue, and I don't think we should take it lightly. And I'm not sure he said his father failed. He just said some of the challenges that his father went through at his time. Those challenges are as real as it is today. But it takes someone who is committed, deliberate, and knows what he's there to achieve that can stand some of those challenges, because he will face those challenges. We will face those challenges when we get there. So thank you very much, and we'll keep demanding, and we want you to also, when we get there, to also keep demanding, or helping us to also speak out and speak up to those issues. Schools in standard form, yes, like I said, the challenges at the basic level, which Barrister said, first of all, we need to deal with the infrastructure deficit, which is, having the right environment for the children to learn. The second thing you need to deal with are the people who are teaching those children. Are they properly educated on, what they are teaching the children on? The curriculum, looking at that. We may not have have the power to change that, but we can demand, we can ask, we can advocate, we can, lend our voice to those things. So those are some of the things that we said we're going to do. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, let me come on. Thank you for the questions. Issue of press friendliness, town hall meeting, is what any government that wants to be transparent must engage itself in. I will do it when I get there. The reason why I'm going to do it, whether it will pay me or it will suit me, I must do that, so that getting to power the next time will not be as difficult as this one now. Because it's a case of show your work regularly. I have done this, I have done that, I show it. And I will encourage and maybe force or fight with my councillors to show their work. In case they are from the same party with me, let them not come and spoil my own politics. Yes, if you collect your project money and pocket it, then I'm showing my own on air, you are not there, you are going to have problem. One day, I'll invite all of you, everybody say what you have done to your communities. Then the issue of things being above the power of AMAC, not to do. If you don't give to somebody, you don't expect anything from that person. Why is AMAC raising revenue from health, from Kekenapep, from markets, and they have nothing to give back to where they are collecting the revenues? I don't think it's true. You collect revenue from levies of environmental sanitation and you have nothing to do. Any sector that AMAC is raising revenue, I think they have something to do. Where you collect from, there must be a give back. So when you get to government, how do you give back to the community or economy or sectors that you collect from? You just collect and pocket because you are just government, you wait for state or a federal government to come and do everything. No. You must show your work to the people that elect you, and to that sector you are getting something from. Then the issue of external distraction, that one is a must, but more predominantly with candidates that have godfathers. Nigeria today, even local government in other states, what they do when they go to, if the state governor imposes you or by any means makes you to get there, as you are collecting, what the formula they use is sign 3, go with 1. The local government chairman will go to the state council and sign maybe 3 billion and go with 1 billion. That is what they do. YPP, myself, I don't have any godfather, but the people that are going to vote for me. So no distraction from anybody that will make me not to deliver to you. Thank you very much.
Okay. Yeah, so we'll do another round of questions.
Sorry, can I just answer?
Please go ahead.
Thank you very much. I'll just answer one of the questions because of time. And it was a gentleman that asked about distractions. Even if you're running your home, you surround yourself with a good team. Maybe you have good house helps or you have a good driver. The same thing in government. Surround yourself with professionals. So all those distractions are delegated. That's how you stay focused. You don't do this work alone. So for him to worry about getting results, the results are done as a team. And that's why we have problem in Nigeria today, because we're so focused on getting to corruption done and leaving the others, because it's not delegated. Even with all the ministers and special advisors, everything is focused and nothing is being done. You delegate. You have a good team around you. You get results. Thank you.
All right, thank you. So we'll take another round of questions. All right, this gentleman. That will be number 2. Okay, and number 3.
Thank you, everyone.
Please introduce yourself and deliver your question in 30 seconds if possible.
Thank you, everyone. My name is Julius Afolale, Managing Editor, Abuja Times newspaper. I have more question and contribution. I think the first one will be, the only question I have is the revenue that's been generated in AMAC is probably second highest after Ethiopia local government, third. What are the candidates going to use this revenue for if they're elected? The second one will be follow-up after elections. After elections, I think there are things that we people need, and in terms of going further to say we need more of town hall meetings, and how do we participate? How do we know our problems in the city? How do we know our problems in AMAC? Are we really interested in what's going on? We have amazing organizations like Tracker and Budget. They're doing amazing work in terms of stating the budget for what every man is meant to do from each constituency. Do we follow up on this project? Do we follow up on what's going on? That's just my own contribution for now. And I think it will be very helpful if we all can be part of this even after the elections. Wonderful job, Global Shapers community. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Matthew Ogune. I write for The Guardian. My first question goes to Mr. Tony. You said you are going to leverage on social media. Now, how accessible is social media to those living in the grassroots? Then, to all the candidates, less emphasis was laid on power. And we know how power is to the people. We talked about education, health, but power was left out. So I don't know how you are going to tackle the issue of power in AMAC. Thank you.
Great. Okay, number 3, the gentleman.
I remain Michael Obebe. My question is actually for all the candidates, and it's about the trend we witnessed during voting in the last election. So I want to ask you, how do you address the voting trend of this particular party and this particular party? I was among the campaign trend of a senatorial candidate of ANRP, and I knew we campaigned a lot. And a media friend of mine during the last election actually told us that he went to individuals and we were asking them, who is the House of Rep candidate of PDP? They don't know the person, but they were just voting PDP, PDP, PDP. So I want to, how do you address this trend of people voting a particular party? They don't know them, they didn't come to them, they didn't address them, they were just voting a party. Thank you very much.
Okay, one more. Right here, the gentleman in front. Yeah.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much. Great job, Global Shapers, and to the candidates. We wish you all the best as you go to the polls. My name is Fortune Musa of Nigeria Info FM. And my question is simple. The non-indigenous community in the FCT is growing at an alarming rate. We're told that about at least 6,000 people come to Abuja every day. Every day. All of our candidates here today are non-indigenous. We can't run away from the fact that we still have a problem with the indigenous, non-indigenous thing in our elections, in our politics, and all of that. How do you plan to run an inclusive government such that both the non-indigenous and the indigenous is acculturized to understand that where you live is where your domain is? What are the plans? Because one of the biggest problems we have with candidates, office holders, is the fact that we don't hear from them. After the last campaign period, we haven't seen the present AMAC chairman. From that time till now, we haven't seen him again. The present FCT minister, we have not heard from or seen anywhere. People do not hear from the candidates, and that's why they don't know that there are certain things they should interrogate. They don't know they don't know anything to ask. How do you intend to run that kind of inclusive government?
All right, candidates. It's working. Do you want to speak into it?
Thank you. Thank you, Julius. I'm sure you came a bit late, so we answered some of those questions of what we're going to do with the revenues of AMAC, but I'll just try to wrap that up. Like you said, we are going to be dealing with education and healthcare as a key sector where we're going to be using those monies for. We're also going to, use those monies on community development projects where we set aside specific amounts of money for each communities to develop those communities, because like I keep saying, over 90% of our communities are not developed within AMAC. Secondly, Matthew said, how accessible is social media to the grassroots? I did say that AMAC is a cosmopolitan city, so apart from the town hall meetings where everybody may not be able to attend, so I'm making provision for the people who are the technology that are savvy at the social media side of it. So that's why I talked about social media. So we're doing both ends together. So it's not just social media. We're also going to be dealing, with the community level, the outreach level for the communities, so that they can interact and we can know exactly what we're doing. Michael said voting trend. They don't know the individual. Yes, we've noticed that. However, it also depends on our campaigning. And I thank God that, the Global Shapers has taken this up to showcase, each and every one of us and some other people, who are running for the various offices. So that can only change by, continuous voter education and continually being in the people's face and letting them know what you're doing. That is the only way it can change. People will always do what they want to do, but if you're able to, like I said, if we get the local council right and a young person gets into that office like myself, we distinguish ourselves, then people can now trust a young person can do this at this level. But sometimes the challenge is that when you start at that high level, there are a lot of big players, so there's a lot of noise at that level. But if you come down a bit, distinguish yourself at that level, then you can grow and people can trust you, because Nigerians don't want to live on promises any longer. They want to be able to trust the individuals that are going to govern them. So that is, some of the challenges. And I'll tell you how we've dealt with that. I believe that myself, I'm the first political candidate that has notarized his promises and his manifesto. Now, what that is apart from me just saying that I'm going to do X, Y, Z, I have held myself to higher accountability through the court system. So I can be taken to court if I don't do what I said I'm going to do. And I feel that that's something that young people should take advantage of. Fortune said the non-indigent community is growing at an alarming rate. Yes, I've been here for 21 years, so I can be regarded as a non-indigent. But like I say, if we need to change the conversation. We need to tweak the conversation. Now, the challenges of everybody in a country is not irrespective of an indigent or a non-indigent. Now, if you're able to address issues fairly and deal with the issues themselves, everybody can find their space in the community. Now, what I'm saying is, if you come to my house, for instance, and there's no preferential treatment over you. Now, I might be angry because somebody's being preferably treated. But if in my house, everybody is treated the same way, everybody gets what is supposed to get, then everybody is happy. Because at the end of the day, the human being is just looking for personal fulfillment. It's not looking for when people start saying indigent or no indigent, it comes when there's inequality, when they're not included in what you're doing. So what our focus is going to be on, everybody who lives within the AMAC should benefit what AMAC is supposed to give to them. Thank you very much.
The first question of how we are going to use the funds generated from AMAC even the last set of questions, we touched that. The money generated or the revenue will be used, of course, to fund the budget for this, for that, as earlier said. Then the question on social media was not for me, it was for my colleague. Social media too is good to reach the people, but we have spoken about town hall meetings and all of that. That is how we are going to reach those in the grassroots. And we must be doing it regularly. Then power. Somebody talked of certain sectors that are above the power or jurisdiction of AMAC to handle. Power is close to that. But sometimes, we are all Nigerians. It's not because of no light in the high tension cable, that is why there is no light in the house. Maybe the community lack transformers. I think everywhere in Nigeria, if you donate transformer, even from the church, the community will embrace it. So in that wise, if we get there, we are going to give areas where they have power supply overhead, but the transformer is the problem. Then another thing is that Nigerian NEPA is corrupt. And there's a limit that AMA can go into that form of corruption. They prefer to charge you without a meter. So those living in those satellite towns, they suffer this. Whether you have like 2 times in a month, they bring bill for you. The NEPA officials, they like it. So if we want to fight this form of corruption when we get to power, we can assist communities in giving them this 15,000 naira prepaid and curb the corruption from NEPA people from exploiting our people. We in the TUC, we have been on strike on this some times ago, that either they are charging too high or the meters must be made available to people. But inside the NEPA themselves, we call them NEPA, they are the ones killing that project. They don't want it. So, but when you buy and give to people free, they take and they get the light. And areas where you have these meters, they give them steady light because if there's no light, they are not going to buy bills. Now, the non-indigenous and indigenous, our number is growing greater than the indigenous. How many thousand coming in every time? And those of us that have stayed for long, we have taken it, the challenge to come and participate in governance of this area because indigenes have served. They have served under APC, they have served under PDP. People are still complaining. This is the time for them to look for candidates now. Whether the candidate from this party is not an indigene or not, let them vote for us. We are going to deliver to them. Their children have failed them. I went to see the chief of Ajata, and he told me that the councillor, the present councillor of Orozo, came and stole their vote. And since that time till now, they have not seen him, and they are waiting for him to come. I don't think he has gone back there. These are indigenes. Then we were begging them that we and you, whether we come from heaven or earth, we are suffering the same thing. We have the same problem here. Everybody goes out of his house and pray, God, give me food, give me this. You go out, whether you're a Christian or Muslim, you go and look for food, you go and look for money to come and take care of your family, whether you are indigent or not. We have the same problem. Some of us can provide solution to these problems. Give us the chance. We'll be very happy to see Nigeria and AMAC and people going beyond tribalism, indigenship, and party to vote. They should just focus on candidates and vote for us. That is why we are here. The media too, they have a lot of work to do to educate the people. Not that blindly you are voting APC, voting APC, voting APC, voting PDP, like that. You need to educate them. We ourselves, we cannot do that. But while we are campaigning, we let them know that give us the chance. We even love you like adopted children, and we'll serve you well.
All right. Thank you. Okay, so we'll have time for just 2 questions.
Sorry, can I just answer the one on a gentleman over this side asked about how do you know the candidate? he asked people that were in line voting, who did you vote for? They just said PDP. And who's the person? We don't know. And that was a brilliant question. So who's the gentleman that asked that question? You have just hit, thank you. You've just hit the nail. Because that is the mystery of Nigeria. We don't know the candidate. And that is why they're able to get away with APC or PDP, because they're stuffed down our throat even if they get to the age of 150. We know them inside out to their bedrooms. Now, the question is brilliant because you have in front of you, minus the colleague that left, you have 5 intelligent people that have taken their time and come here today. And this 2 hours is helping you get to know them. I wish we could have done more of this, because even me sitting here, I've met 3 of them for the first time, and I'm impressed. I'm a Rivers person. I know my Rivers brothers here, and he's a brilliant person. But we go and vote for PDP, APC. No disrespect to anybody here that's representing them. Why? Because those are the ones that are the popular parties. Okay. I hope my colleagues think like me, not necessarily give us a chance, no. We are capable of getting physical results. That's what everybody wants, the ones we can see. I'm really impressed with my colleague here that has gone to court. I think he deserves another round of applause for that.
The primary health care issue. And I've borrowed from that to say, how do we deal with that issue? And we will use a lot of the midwife system to be able to get to the communities. Because we found out that sometimes we need to do some conditional cash transfer to women to actually come out from their places to actually, get checked. So we need to, it's a process, it's a program that has been used at the national level, which I was part of. So I'm going to borrow that process, and we saw that it worked. And how did it work? If a lady is pregnant, she needs to come out for her antenatal meetings and all that. Then we need to send midwives to go to the interiors. They live within them in those localities. So if there's any issue, they can quickly reach a woman there in that locality who knows them and who can easily assess them. Now, what the mobile clinic would do is, if there's any challenge, there's somebody higher in the cadre that can check it. And if it is too serious, we have an ambulance service that will also be able to reach out to them within that ward or locality. So I believe that if we do that at the 3 stages, it will reduce the child mortality rate you talked about. Yeah.
Okay. Sorry.
Can I react?
Yes, please.
Yes, maternal mortality, we are talking about women. I think what we are going to do, and in fact, that is the only thing we are going to do, because we need to educate these people with doctors and midwives regularly on media, even go to churches and mosques to teach these women, because the level of education, like I always say, like I'm running for chairman now. There is no course in the university that they tell me it's chairman, AMAC. So that I must pass through that school before I begin to run for AMAC chairman. Or read that course first. People become fathers and mothers even before they know how to cope with children or their pregnancy. Because there's no school to go and read father or mother. Then, some people get pregnant and they are ashamed of it. That leads to their death, antenatal, prenatal, postnatal, those your medical terms, they will not pass through. A lady, let me not say it's from my sector, a lady just delivered the baby's 2 legs, first came out, and they carry her, put inside keke napep, they rushed to hospital. Where was this woman until 9 months? She was maybe one reason or the other hiding with this pregnancy. So if you cannot reach them through the social media, maybe they don't even have data to browse, go to the churches, go to the mosque, intensify education, health education to them. Once you are 3 months, this is what you do.
Okay.
Even some lost their children in the course of breastfeeding. They died in the course of breastfeeding. Maybe a little cancer or something, abnormality has developed during or after. They will not go and check. Some are ashamed. So that is it. So we need to just intensify because the services available for mortality increase in the hospitals by federal government and others is already okay. But people are not even availing themselves to it.
Thank you.
They understand?
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right. Any other reflections? Okay, in the absence of that, I'll invite each of our candidates to tell us in 1 minute, again, why the AMAC residents should vote for you in these elections coming up on Saturday, March 9th, 2019.
Okay, thank you. Each and every one of us sitting here should be, based on what you've heard, you've realized or you probably know now that AMAC is an important government that you need to pay attention to. I'm looking now that in the next election cycle, we'll have more young people who know what's, who have done a lot of study and all that will get involved. Now, you need to go and let the people know, your friends, your families, for them to actually come out, come March 9th, and actually vote. Because that's the challenge. Like I said in my opening remarks, just about 80,000 people, in the last election actually, voted in the local council election. That's not good enough. So we need more people to actually come out on Saturday to vote. And not just vote for individuals who have capacity, competence, and capabilities to be able to deliver on what government should actually deliver. Like I said earlier, government is about people. It's about people's representation. And I want to ensure that my government is visible, my government is impactful, and my government is able to give or allow the citizens to actualize what they've said they want to actualize. So come out March 9th and vote for ABGA. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Once again, Isaac Owechu is my name, representing ANRP, the councillor for Nyanya Ward. And of course, you need to vote for me because if you look microscopically on this stage, I'm the youngest man here. Yes, that is why I say microscopically, you understand, I'm the youngest man here. And number two, the only councillor with the audacity to be seated on this hot seat here today. I'm representing a party that is proactive in every sense. Computer is our logo. If you're thinking of transforming a nation, you are thinking of redefining leadership, you need to acclimatize yourself with technology. We have gone beyond the age of broom. We have gone beyond the age of umbrella. If you use the umbrella, every rain falls, it will remove the umbrella. In modern world, we no longer use broom anymore. So we are in a technologically oriented world where you need computer to redefine leadership. You understand? And of course, I have a chairman as well who is unavoidably absent. But trusting my capability for leadership, he has deemed it fit that I represent her. So whatever you see me exhibit, believe my chairman has more than what I am exhibiting right now. Thank you so much for believing ANRP, the computer logo party. God bless you. So vote for me on Saturday as a councillor for Nyanya. Call all your friends and tell them, vote for Isaac Owechu for Nyanya councillor.
The man where Sabi is still Sabi. I'm a professional in the area of empowerment of youths. Presently at Mopo Junction, my shop is there where I give tricycles and motorcycles out on hire purchase. I have touched that field very well, and they will vote for me, and you too, you will vote for me. And I wish to offer myself to touch to touch the market women. I want to touch those hawkers on the road so that we don't bundle them to prison. We bundle them into a cooperative, give them fund, let them find their way from there in life. I want you to remember me for that. And I know you know my presidential candidate of YPP, Professor Kingsley Mogalu, the mental lion. He's the Nigerian Obama now, but they didn't give him chance. No problem. If you vote for him, if you vote for me, you have voted for him. He said it that he has the template that 4 countries are using, but we throw it away. We are fighting corruption. You know? Now, let the people of AMAC, please, just in a way, bring Mogalu back through me.
The less privileged need a voice. Somebody made a point that when you get into office now, game change, you will not see any of us. Somebody made that point. Am I correct? They haven't seen the present chairman, they haven't seen this. All right. Each and every one of us sitting here, from what I heard, you will have access to us. That's the beginning. Please clap for that. You have to understand one thing. We are here, but you on that side know where it is pinching your ward. I know that's what councillors are meant to do, but somebody else gave an example that the councillor doesn't even live in the ward anymore. You have the power to bring us in, and must remember you have the power to take us out. Each and every one of you get to know us. You have 3 more days. Google us. Before we walk out today, still approach us. Go back and tell your friend that I had one-on-one with this person. You must know what you're looking for, so you educate us to do the right thing.